before starting, thank you very much to be here today. We're really excited and happy that you can answer our questions. So let's get started with a little question about you. During your studies, were you interested in a career that involves sports?
Yes and no. I was always interested in a career that involves sports, but it's not anything that I studied in school. I was lucky enough when I was in university to get a job working with one of the collegiate athletic teams, which gave me a lot of experience and taught me a lot. So my education that got me into the sports world was more outside of school education, not really in the classroom. I'm going to let Jenny go because she has some classroom experience.
So button push?
Yeah.
My background is actually in criminal justice. Then I decided I did not want to do that. So I went back to school and got 2 advanced degrees in sports. And I've been in sports since then.
That's really interesting.
No, my background is in the military, or at least I spent 10 years with the U.S. Air Force, and one of my favorite assignments was at the U.S. Air Force Academy, which is in Colorado, and really working to train and develop cadets to be military officers, and I just loved being a part of that mission. And I was just fortunate enough that the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee is right in the same town as the Air Force Academy, and so when I left the military, I was able to easily transition to the training center and sort of do what I was doing there, but with athletes.
That's
All right. So you all have a different path, but like, how did you hear about the US Olympic Committee, and why did you join it?
For me, I was really lucky. I was super fortunate that I was in Chicago at the time and looking for a job right after university, and my mom knew somebody who knew somebody that worked at the United States Soccer Federation. So I got a job there, and then through my work there, I developed relationships and working relationships and friendships with people at the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee. So I wasn't directly involved, but sort of indirectly, and then just through my work and over the years, saw the mission and what they did there, and thought it was something that I wanted to be involved in. So when opportunities came up to apply for my first job with the organization, it worked out. I'd actually applied several times and tried to get jobs before I actually was hired for the first job I had with the USOPC. So it was just sort of lucky. It started out with being in the right place at the right time.
All right.
Do you want us all to answer all the questions?
If you want to. If you have anything to say, do what you want to do.
I was actually recruited for my first job at the USOPC. I used to work in aquatics, so I did a lot of swimming events for USA Swimming and USA Diving, and they had an opening, and they kind of recruited me about 6 years ago.
I just needed a job when I got out of the military. And my father-in-law is a running coach for the sport of modern pentathlon. And so I knew about the training center being in Colorado. And so I just, again, was looking for a job and went online and found a pretty cool job. And that's how it started for me. So I honestly didn't know a lot about me.
Okay, next question. What is your role within the USA Committee? What is your role within the USA Committee?
I work in our games operations department, and so what I do sort of has a couple different parts. I'm the games director, so the head of our delegation for the Pan American Games and all of the regional games that we send a full delegation to, sort of like a European Games, but for our region. And then for the Olympic and Paralympic Games, I'm the director of our High Performance Center. So we set up a facility, which will be here at Athletica, where we create an environment that's exclusively for our delegation. And it's an area where athletes can come and train and focus on what they need to do with the added support services that we can provide outside of what the organizing committee does. So we have food and nutrition, strength and conditioning, medical, psychological, all different support services for the athletes, and we're doing that here. And so that's the other side of my job, is organizing and directing that facility.
I work at the Colorado Springs Training Center, and I'm the operations manager, so I deal with a lot of camps and programs with elite athletes who want to come and train prior to coming to Paris or to games. And we're really close with Mike.
I'm the Associate Director of our Visitor Center and Venue Operations at the Olympic and Paralympic Training Center in Colorado Springs. So all of the facilities that the athletes will train in, I oversee the day-to-day operations. So everything from making sure the building is clean and safe to all the equipment that is in there needs to be set up. And then our Visitor Center, which is really our community outreach center to share our mission with the community. So we do tours, sort of represent what the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee does in the Visitor Center. And then here in Paris, I'll be the assistant to the director of the High Performance Center.
I don't think
Also
that's
known
your
as
actual
the-
title. I don't think that's your actual.
It's going to be my title.
Yes.
Be my time.
Yes.
So it looks massive. The organization looks massive. So how many people are you bringing, including like the athletes and the community here in Eaubonne?
So our delegation is huge. We'll have, for the Olympic Games, about 619 athletes, and for the Paralympic Games, about 250 athletes. For the staff, we'll end up probably with about 1,200 to 1,500 staff between the USOPC support staff and the staff that comes directly with the teams, coaches, trainers, things like that. So we bring a lot of people.
That's a lot. That's massive, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm really curious about this question. Why did you choose to stay here in this area of
So when we were first looking for a facility, we came out here, how many years ago? It was 2017, almost 7 years ago. Came out here in 2 days, I looked at about 30 facilities. Before we came, just did a lot of research to find facilities that might have even just some of what we needed. And this place had everything we needed. It's very close to the athlete village. Without traffic, it's 15 minutes. With traffic, it's maybe 25 minutes. And that's really important, that our athletes can get back and forth very quickly. But besides that, it's just an amazing facility. It has all the sport venues that we need. It has housing, it has a restaurant, and it has great people to work with. We've been able to establish some really good relationships with everyone who works here. So it's been easy and very pleasant to do business with them, and everything we request and ask for, they work really hard to accommodate us. So really just having that partnership is super important in us being able to do what we need to do when we come this summer.
So you may know, but in France, the OCOG, so the Organization Committee for the Olympic Games, put in place the guidance to say that you should mix, let's say, 50-50 women and men. So is it the same for American, or is it any different?
So for each sport, there's a maximum number of athletes that can qualify, and it's, and they have done a great job here with this organizing committee so that it is 50-50. We won't qualify 100% of the spots. For example, we won't qualify a men's field hockey team, but we did qualify a women's field hockey team. So yes, our goal also is for it to be equal, but sometimes, it will be dependent on who actually qualifies. And I think we may, and I can't remember, but there's a good possibility that we either had more women than men in Tokyo, right?
It
was very close. And there's even a better chance here that we'll have more women than men qualify.
I think every games on women participation has increased the last 3.
So it's increasing.
Yeah, and when we go to Los Angeles in 4 years, we we don't have to go to we'll still go to the qualifying events, but we automatically, just like France does for here, will automatically qualify every spot possible, so that we'll be, exactly whatever that ratio is for those games.
Are you confident for the games, and how many medals are you hoping for?
How many medals are there?
Yeah. So I don't know. We thankfully aren't the people that make those decisions. I would say, as an organization, we're very confident. We're going to bring the strongest team we possibly can bring, and we would love. Our goal is definitely to win the medal count, win the most gold medals. But that's why they compete, right? Anything can happen on any given day. Somebody who's not expected to do well might have just the best performance of their life and come out of nowhere and win a medal, and that's what makes an Olympic and Paralympic Games so special. You just, that's why they play the game, right? You can't really predict any of it. We hope that we're successful. We've put a lot of resources into it, and these athletes have been training their entire lives for this moment. And we want to support them so that they can be successful. But there's a lot of unknowns that go into competition. So, yeah, our goal is to win.
So, So, I heard you were talking about the Paralympics. Is the organization a bit different for it, or the price cost? Is it different in any way?
We're different as the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee because we are one of the only joint Olympic and Paralympic committees. A lot of the other countries have their Olympic committee in one organization, and Paralympic committee is separate. So for us, resources vary a little bit even in Olympic sport, from sport to sport. But by us changing our name and we used to be just the U.S. Olympic Committee, but we oversaw Paralympic sport. Now, our full name is U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee, and that's one of the first steps to making things as equal as possible.
Yeah, inclusive.
Yeah.
Very inclusive.
That's the word I was looking for.
Does U.S. Olympic Committee give any guidance about offsetting carbon footprint for the Olympic Games?
So there are already so many guidelines in place here in France that it makes it easier. There's not a whole lot that we can do above and beyond. We want to follow those guidelines, but it's definitely important to us to be respectful of that, to be respectful of the earth, and make sure that we are doing what we can also to be sustainable and green and not wasteful. So globally, when we're back home, there probably is more we could do to institute that and implement that. But coming here to France, it's really already all in place for us.
So do you have a message to tell to the young people wanting to start the sport, to go in the committee, any people?
Go for it. Put your head down and work. It's a great career in sport. It's very passionate, and every day is different.
Definitely go for it. I think at this point, young people should understand you don't need to be an athlete to be involved in what we call the movement, right? The Olympic and the Paralympic movement. Look for ways to embed yourself into sport in other ways if you don't want to play. So volunteer for sport organizations, volunteer for the grassroots or development programs that ensure kids have an opportunity to get on the field and play. Make us buy you coffee. We're not. It's not just because we're Americans. It's because we're in sport. We love to talk about ourselves, right? So we would be more than happy to share our story and help you understand the path that it takes to get into the movement. But we constantly need more talent, so we want the young people to start that journey sooner than later.
Yeah, and I'd also say be patient. Getting into a job in sports is not easy because so many people want it. And I know just throughout my career, looking at changing the role but still being within sports, it's very hard to get a job. But if you're patient and you work hard, you make good relationships, and you prove that you're willing to start, you're going to have to start, at the bottom and work your way up. And what we say is, pay your dues, which is just work hard, improve yourself. It will pay off. So patience is really important in getting involved in working in sport.
Patience and networking.
Yeah.
Yes.
Networking.
What is something surprising about your job?
So we travel a lot, and a lot of people think that when we travel, we're really lucky. It's kind of like going on vacation, and it's not. I mean, for example, I have eaten dinner in my hotel room almost every day this week. So it's not as glamorous as it seems. It's great. We're very fortunate, don't get me wrong. We're lucky because we do get to travel. We do get to work with really great people. And maybe one day or here and there we might get a day off and go to Normandy for fun, but for the most part, it's when we travel for work, we're traveling to work, not for fun.
So thank you very much for answering my question. It was an honor having you here, and thank you very much for the conference as well, just before inside the big staging. And that was about it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, thanks for having us. Really enjoy doing this, and good luck with the rest of your podcasting.
Thank you.
Thank you
Yes,
very much.
awesome. Will we be able to see this when it's all
Yeah, we
together?
hope.
Okay.
I guess.
Share it with us.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah.